Armstrong would like to say is joining me today, commentator Sam Armstrong. You never pull your punches. Let's have a reality check. We need to act, and we need to act now.
There are common denominators in any pattern of events. And let me tell you what is not a common denominator in recent terrorist attacks. It's not the weapons they use. Islamist terrorist attackers have used knives, they've used bombs, they've used vehicles, and now they've used guns as well. These are people that will use whatever they can get their hands on, as you say. So the idea that you can deal with this problem by going after weapons of any variety is for the birds. There is one common denominator and one common denominator alone. These are largely men who believe in a bizarre, dangerous, backwards idea by which they believe that their religious ideals can be imposed, including by force, on millions of people, some of whom think that Muhammad's claims to be a prophet of God are anything but a revelation, and they believe that they can impose that lifestyle on us all, and they believe it is their duty to do so. Until we deal with that, we will never get anywhere. There is another problem, and I'm going to speak carefully, but I mean this. I think, in a sense, this is a microcosm of the troubles with mass migration. Ahmed al-Ahmed was a relatively recent refugee from Syria, and he was a hero. He charged towards a gunman and disarmed him. He is precisely the kind of person I would love to live next door to. He is the best of all of us.
And he went in knowing that he would die.
That's right.
He said that to his friend.
However, when you import millions of people from difficult countries, to put it mildly, you are going to get a range of people. And amongst the people that came in masse into Australia was Sajid Akram. And Australia not only obviously failed to perform basic checks on him, but they gave him a licence to own 6 firearms, 6 firearms, and like many people, he had a family here in Australia, and like in many cases, second-generation migrants, despite being citizens of their country, end up being more radical than their parents. That is a well-known, observable phenomenon. And my position is very clear. We have had quite a lot of migration in this country, and I don't want to go back and reinvent the wheel that much or relitigate that. But in future, we know now with a very good data set, when you import people en masse from the third world, yes, you get some good people, but you get some people that think a good Sunday afternoon activity is to go down to a beach and shoot at Jews. And when our politicians are making decisions about our future immigration policy, about who they let in and who they don't, and how careful the checks are on those who are let in, you would dare think that maybe, rather than talking some nonsense about, capping the number of guns you need to own in Australia for everyone, that they would think about, maybe it's not a good idea to import all of these people when some of them we know wish to kill people on our streets.
You're playing the odds. You're playing the odds. And in the same way, I liken this to being a nightclub bouncer. A bunch of 10 lads turn up. Are you going to let the 10 lads in on their own? No. If you've got women with you, then we'll let you in, because we know a bunch of 10 lads are likely to be a problem later on. You probably not. You might not be, but the odds are too high, so we don't let in groups of 10 lads. It's that simple. I don't. You're not wearing your football shirt in the pub on match day, because in some pubs, because they don't want trouble. Not everybody's going to cause the trouble, but they play the odds. I don't understand why we don't play the odds better when it comes to our immigration policy. I would say, genuinely, that I think there are certain countries now we should say, thank you, I'm with Trump on this one, thank you, no more, we're done now. We're done. And you're only entering in exceptional circumstances. I'm also of the view that anyone who's on a watch list, this son, Naveed Akram, he wasn't the licensed gun owner. He was born in Australia, but he was investigated some 6 years ago over ties to ISIS. Here's the thing. I mean, OK, he's an Australian citizen. They can't get rid of him. Fair enough. I get that. However, we have so many people on our watch list here in the UK. Some 3,000 are being watched constantly. We've got 40,000 at least who they are worried about. Virtually every single time we have a terror attack in this country, as you say, it is nearly always either someone who's come from abroad or the child of someone who's come from abroad, first generation. In fact, they're more likely to be, as you say, first generation. That is a very clear absolutely statistical phenomenon. And a lot of them are dual nationals. I'm of the view, and they nearly always have been flagged up and then decided they're not a risk. Seems to me that if people have been flagged up and they're considered a bit of a risk, and they are dual nationals or not British nationals, I say, bye-bye. Thank you for coming. We no longer wish you to be here. I think the benefit of the doubt has to go to the safety of the British people, in the case of Australia, the safety of the Australian people, rather than someone's right to live wherever the hell they want to in the world. I think the British people have had enough. We are going to have a terror attack of this magnitude at some point. It's not a case of if, it is a case of when. And when that happens, we're going to have the same politicians with the same platitudes who've also been spouting their nonsense about genocide in Gaza, recognising a Palestinian state, or like the Home Secretary attending a pro-Palestinian march, marching under the Palestinian flag, for goodness sake, in the wake of October the 7th, for goodness sake. And they're all going to be surprised. Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission President, I am shocked by what happened in Australia, as I tweeted her. Why are you shocked? I'm not shocked. I'm never shocked by terror attacks. I also don't give thoughts or prayers. I don't like candles. I don't want any of that. I haven't looked back in anger since the Manchester Arena. I'm done. Full stop, done. I'm with Morrissey on this one. I absolutely look back in anger, and I look forward in anger at my politicians for not doing what they should be doing, which is protecting us from these people. There are too many people in our midst who wish us ill. And people thinking again, oh, it's the Jews, not just the Jews, but it's the Jews, it's not my problem, I'm not Jewish. Don't worry, when they finish with the Jews, they'll come for everybody else. That is part of the political ideology of Islamist extremism. It is. They say the quiet bit out loud. Globalise the Intifada. They say the quiet bit out loud. They have people marching on our streets saying it. But this stuff is imbued in our political class, our civil service, teachers at schools, the universities, the NHS, all our political parties. This stuff is, I mean, good God, it's in our media. BBC, Sky, ITV are literally, in Channel 4, saturated in this thought process. We are totally surrounded by this, and we need to root it out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who we can start rooting it out with, and I tell you, because it's emblematic of how far the rot is. The Sydney Morning Herald newspaper in Australia have tracked down the wife of Sajid Akram and the mother of Naveed Akram, a man who's shot at a 10-year-old girl. Shot at a 10-year-old girl. This is what his mother has to say about him. She says, he doesn't go out, he doesn't mix around with friends, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't go to bad places, he goes to work, he comes home, he goes to exercise, and that's it. She says, anyone would wish to have a son like my son.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy. I mean, he's not, sweetheart. We've just seen that.
Your son is a monster. You bred him, you raised him, and he, alongside your husband, has just committed one of the most appalling atrocities in your country's history. You should be hanging your head in shame. And the fact that after your son has done that you have not immediately renounced him, and immediately said what he has done is appalling, means that you, Verena Akram, are, in my view, unfit to live in a Western country.
You're part of the problem, certainly. I mean, I thought it was really fascinating. You mentioned Ahmed Ahmed, who was, a store owner, father of two, who had already been shot in the arm and in the hand. He had a bandage on when he tackled one of the gunmen. It looks like he tackled the father, Sajid Akram, and he managed, I mean, amazing. Attacked him from behind, unarmed, grabbed the gun. By all accounts, by the way, Australian police were on the scene at this point, which is a bit of a worry. Why were they not doing this and leaving it to a civilian? Because they were unarmed. Again, we're having some issues here. We're going to have to start, and this is an issue in England as well, I think a lot of people say.
Yeah, but Julia, just on that point, okay, we are now talking very seriously about the fact that we're having to end unarmed policing in this country that we've had forever because of mass migration and the consequence of problems of Islamist terrorism.
That is the thing. Well, let me just play some of the footage. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been for the last 24 hours, but Ahmed Ahmed tackling this this gunman and disabling him is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, just so brave. And he did chat to his friend, I might die, but I've got to do this. And he went in and he managed to get the gun off the man, and then within a few minutes, both men had been shot by the police. But it's fascinating. A Syrian refugee, a Muslim man. It's fascinating. I mean, I was tweeting, this guy's an absolute hero. The number of people who replied to me, the usual suspects, going, "Oh, but you're gutted he's Muslim. Oh, look, he's Muslim." Like, okay, I couldn't care less whether he was atheist, Muslim, Catholic, Sikh, Jehovah's Witness. I don't care. It's totally irrelevant. He was a good man. People like me who are talking about the problem of Islamist ideology and terrorism don't have a problem with Muslims. Most people in this country don't have a problem with Muslims because people are not Islamophobic. People are not racist in this country. People have a problem with an ideology which some Muslims, too large a minority in this country, particularly younger men, follow, and that's our issue. So I'd be absolutely delighted whether this man had any religion at all or none. The point is that good people do good things and bad people do bad things. But let's try and identify who the bad people are a little bit sooner. Would that be a good idea? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Oh, just one final thing we ought to mention. What the hell is going on at Downing Street? Keir Starmer yesterday, they had obviously one of those sort of scheduled tweets to go out, posts to go out for Hanukkah, the first day of this festival of light for the Jewish religion. And this message went out about 2 hours after the Bondi Beach attack had started. And it goes out, wishing everyone a happy Hanukkah. Just totally like, someone allowed that scheduled message to go out, and then another one from 10 Downing Street's official account. And then sort of an hour later, the Prime Minister going, "Oh, this is terrible, what's happened?" I mean, we have a whole load of people. We have a government that apparently doesn't work on a Sunday morning. There's a major terror attack in one of our closest allies. And no one has bothered to look at the news before they've allowed these messages to go out. I mean, this is not about the niceties of what someone said on social media. This is about the abject lack of basic competence and basic sort of knowledge that is going on in number 10.
If you think that's bad, you wait till you see what they've got coming later this week. A new definition of Islamophobia, which is going to ban precisely the conversation that you and I have just had.
Well, we'll both be in prison then.
We will both be in prison.
Because I'm going to still have that conversation.
And, you would think that the government may wish to take seriously the words of its own independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, who says that he is against such a definition. Why? Because it would threaten free speech and the work of the authorities in tackling Islamic terrorism. And our government, in the week after this, proposes to roll it out, notwithstanding.
Of course they do. I wonder what their concern is about that, but there we are. 10:24.